Welcome everyone, this is Unstoppable Streletsy coming again with yet another casted 1 vs 1 in Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition. This time you're going to enjoy a nice 1 vs 1 between the Caribbean cruises yet again. Is the Russians this time, the Civ of Unstoppable Streletzys, against Tim Relek here as the Dutch. Now, this is a very cool map because obviously you get a lot of choke points here you can defend yourself with. You get a couple of nice hunts and mines to start with, but as time goes on, you have to venture out from your safe little walls towards the trade routes, right? And there, true raids and attacks can happen against you. So, let's see how both of these civs do in the end. Alright, so on one side we have the civ, the Russians, personal favorite of mine, since that's where my namesake comes from. Russians love to do lots of rushing, hence Russia. Now on a map like this, I can imagine them going for a blockhouse rush on their opponent. Since, you know, obviously you want to get an attack real early before Dutch start to turtle up a lot. On the opposing side you got the Dutch. This is a favorite civ of mine too. I like their mercenary play, I love all the coin that they produce over time. As Dutch, you really want to wall up here and start spamming those banks, so you can hopefully get more numerous and more powerful units than your Russian opponent does. Because the only way to beat lots of spam is with really tough units, in big numbers. Dutch going for a market. They also got a wood treasure here too. Now, with that wood treasure collected, luckily the Dutch will be able to either invest in a bank sooner, upon aging up, or they will be able to get hunting dogs pretty easily. Yes, that's exactly what they do here. We see the Dutch going for hunting dogs. And interestingly enough, the fact that he's going for hunting dogs this early will mean that acquiring that first and second bank will be super duper easy, because now he can invest more of his time into the wood chopping part and less of the eating part of the meat. Let's look at the deck. So it looks like he's got 3 merchants. He has all the other essential goodies like the Royal Decree card, 1 bank wagon, 700 wood, 700 coin. So he has the ability to fight in any age really, whether he has to defend in age 2 or he has a bit of time to build up. Let's look at Russians. Now Russians, ooh nice, they're doing a bit of a duel here with the Dutch explorer. It'd be kinda cool based on this if he could actually take down that Dutch explorer. He is going for distributivism, the wood trickle. This is a very essential card for any Russian build. He also has all the crates he could ever ask for. He has Unstoppable Streletzys and Cossacks he can ship. Good variety of cards, you know. Good variety of cards you can rely on. Now, unfortunately for Russia, the explorer made it to the town center, so he will not be able to kill him. All Dutch has to do is just pluck the merchants into the TC and shoot this explorer to death if he gets too close. Russians are pretty poised right now to go up for their standard 14 settler age up. Ooh, Dutch got they got a food treasure this time. Yeah, this is perfect, you know. As Dutch, the more food and wood treasures you get, the quicker those banks will go up. And the quicker those banks go up, the more painful time your opponent will have dealing with your super duper economy. Quartermaster for the Russians, and what are the Dutch getting? Quartermaster, yep. Those are both the standard politician of choice for both. Russians going for placer mines, so we might see some recruits from the Russians, potentially. This might be a sign that he's going to want to start out with the queue of recruits and not Unstoppable Streletzys. I'm a little disappointed and you're not picking me first, but as long as you use me a bit later, I would be much happy about that, certainly. Oh, wait a second. Gangsaw. Yeah, we might actually see me show up on the field at any time then. Now, is he going for super duper aggression or is he going to stay back a little bit? gonna have to watch.
Приказ?
Ooh,
Приказ?
okay, so
Что?
2 settlers here. They're obviously gonna build a blockhouse and start pushing in before Dutch get too walled up. He's doing it right between these silver mines here. That way he can cover both areas, and he also has a bit of mobility to move into both entryways, should he want to. Dutch, they've already aged up at this point. Interestingly enough, they're starting out with the bank wagon. Typically you go for the wood first and the bank wagon second, but in this circumstance, when you don't know if the Russians are going to attack you, you may indeed need that starting wood upon age 2 to focus on walling a bit, to deny your Russian opponent early raiding access, and that's exactly what he's doing here. He's going to build a strategic wall here with the stable to ideally use the Hussars against any possible unstoppable Strelitzes, and save Bank 3 probably for a bit later. Alright, let's see what Russia's doing. I'm curious what they're going to start out with. So, no units yet. He's opting instead to push a second blockhouse down to add even more pressure and map control into this area. And also, he can ideally use these hunts and this mine if he wants to with his handy settlers over here once he's no longer building. Recruits are queuing up here. Steel traps are also coming out, so he's definitely thinking about making sure he gets as much food in as possible. Russian blockhouse blocks are quite expensive in food, so you definitely need to make sure you're hunting a lot of meat at all time. Hussars coming out from the Dutch. They are going to be aiming more in this direction. He will notice this blockhouse though, and if he can, it would be great if he could take out these settlers. But unfortunately for him, the Cossacks arrived just in time to intercept him. Cossacks are going to snare these boys in, and they're going to finish, and then choosing the fight, I don't know why you would do that. Just go. Leave. Go somewhere else right now. You can't handle this right now. But I guess in this case, with the Cossacks snaring you, I mean, you're gonna lose out on these eventually. I am a little bit concerned though with this group of recruits from the Russians. I mean, if you're the Dutch right now, you're probably thinking we need a barracks to get some skirmies. Yeah, we definitely need skirmies for this, you know. We need something to do with heavy infantry. Now, one thing I wish Dutch would do here is put a wall here. You really need to stall your opponent as much as possible. Though it does look like he tried to do that bit over here by causing a bit of a diversion. How much resources does he have? So he doesn't have a lot of food, so in terms of Hussars, he's going to have to mostly rely on skirmies, which is fine. Skirmishers should be able to clean up the recruits as long as he can get them out quick enough. Russians are opting to go for the stable first. I would go for the barracks first, because skirmishers are your biggest risk right now. Pikemen in reserve for any Cossacks to push in. Okay, so now this is an interesting turning point here. Obviously, Russians are going to have to choose when they want to fully commit to an attack on the Dutch base. Dutch are making the strategic choice of walling it off to stall his opponent. Now, question is, with this group of unstoppable Strelitzes, recruits, and Cossacks, can the Russians do a push right? Well, they kind of have to if they want to do it quickly, because if this wall comes up, which he was able to deny, that would have stalled him out quite a bit. And I think at this point he's going to congregate by the wall and hopefully tear it down so that he can keep applying pressure. You don't want Dutch getting any more banks than they have. 2 banks can be pretty manageable in this stage, but 3 or 4 could pose a problem to you. Because Dutch would always have the option of building a saloon and potentially adding outlaws in as well. Recruits Now, see, here's the thing. Even though the wall is not complete, having a wall here does stall his recruit's ability of moving in on the base. He has to walk all the way around this wall to his main army, which, of course, gives Dutch more time to react to him a bit, and takes Russians off guard a bit in terms of their offense. From here, what does Dutch do? We're going to have to see. He is going for wood number 2, about 600 wood. If he can keep Russians out long enough to finish the wall, that would be the best goal, I think. And from there, you can maybe get bank number 3 down and slowly grind up that coin economy you need to really plow ahead as this is. Russians obviously don't want that, so the unstoppable Strelitzes are going to try to protect this wall as much as they can with the recruits. Let's see what Russia's doing back at home real quick. It looks like he is taking advantage of the general security he is enjoying thanks to his pressure to get lots of meat further and further out from the initial base. The odds of him encountering any sort of Hussar raid is pretty low considering the stable is just being rebuilt now. And at this point he has Dutch right where he wants him, in their base, not causing problems on multiple fronts. So if he can keep this pressure up, I think he can secure his own settlers' endless resource production with no worries. Ouch, that hurts. Now this wall is almost done, it looks like. Can this wall stay up? No, fortunately this one here wasn't quite finished yet. Skirmers though, getting lots of free shots in. The more free shots the Dutch can get in against this Russian infantry, that's going to be really beneficial to them. Now, Strelets queuing up at both blockhouses. Russians are clearly looking to win the numbers game. Winning out with pure numbers. What would this... Oh, he was going to do a... House... Was that a... Saloon? A tavern? Probably. He's probably gonna want to do that more for when he gets maybe bank number 4. Right now he just has enough coin with 3 banks to maybe keep Hussars and Skirmies pumping. That's annoying. That could cause a bit of a diversion. Why aren't you targeting the merchant though? If you could kill a Villi, that would be a lot more useful than snagging the Explorer, I think. But you clearly have bigger things to worry about down in the south here, with the infantry pushing in from the Russians. Try to get those Hussars away so that you can reserve them for when you have an opening on the unstoppable Strelitzes. Yeah, and definitely don't push them on the recruits like that. You see that they're clearly ganging up to stab your horses, so you clearly need to retreat those horses for your general safety. Yeah, I mean, Russians right now pushing in strong. If he can keep enough recruits to deter cavalry, that would be really good for him. But what it looks like here is Dutch are surrounding him in a nice big sandwich with his Hussars. He's going to munch them up as best as he can with those. He's going to try to eat them. But unfortunately he can't because the recruits swapped around and defended. Perfect. This is looking good for maybe Russians, maybe Dutch. The next couple of kills is really going to make a difference, I think. And, well, maybe we see a Russian advance. Hussars. It's all going to come down to Hussars and what the Hussars do. Can the Hussars do the slashy work that they need to do on the unstoppable Strelitzes? You know, it's looking kinda okay for... Never mind. Russia is doing good right now. They did exactly what they had to do. They had to get rid of the Hussars. Dutch are bleeding a bit in terms of resources, and this is exactly what the Russians need. Oh! Ouch! Ouch! That hurt. Look at that. Merchants going down. That was not good. He really needed these merchants to be doing some meat eating right now. You know, he still has a lot of food. He also needs... Oh, never mind. GG. Yeah. Awesome game. You know, I think both players did pretty well. They both played their distinctive roles the way that they should have. Unfortunately, Caribbean Cruises with the Russians was super rushy with the Russians. You can never deny the power of unstoppable Streletsy to come in massive swarms, you know? And Streletsy is just a Streletsy alone, but in big numbers, a Streletsy is an unstoppable Streletsy. Let's look at the post-game super duper quick, and I think we're good. Resources, pretty average, pretty much the same. Eco was pretty good for both. Now, this is where Russians really do well, is the more units we can spam out with little resistance, the more pressure we can put on in terms of raising, in terms of kills. Yeah, it was pretty tight. I mean, if Dutch were able to preserve a couple more Hussars, it could have been very differently. Good game, both of you. I hope to do more of these castings in the future. They're super duper fun to cover. See you next time.